Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So this is just a video. I'm going through my Spotify Wrapped statistics for the year. So they do this every year now. I guess I don't actually use Spotify to listen to stuff, but I know users have been having their Wrapped as well. And you get this if you're a creator. So I do my podcast on YouTube. And also do it on a platform called Anchor, which is was an audio platform that got bought by Spotify. So now I can also do a video version through Spotify. So this is, I guess, the Spotify numbers I think are just for people watching it through Spotify. So it's not taking in, not looking at my YouTube stuff, or I don't think it even takes in my Anchor stuff as well. It may do, but it certainly doesn't take in the YouTube stuff. So anyway, it's not going to give out any enormous numbers anyway. I mean, generally my podcasts sort of get about, sort of a couple of hundred, maybe sort of 500 would be good on the Spotify Anchor side, and the ones on YouTube either do nothing. You can see on YouTube, either do a couple of hundred, or I think the biggest one's done 1,000 on YouTube. Obviously, YouTube has that virality to it, so the stuff on Anchor and Spotify is more sort of I guess sort of what's the word? Consistent. Okay, so there we go. I did quite a lot of podcasts this year, so that's good. I don't always take them. It's a little bit depending on how busy I am that I suddenly go, I haven't done a podcast for a while, and then sometimes a whole bunch come along at once. So I probably need to do more. I could probably, one a week is going to be too much, but I'd like to get to one every 2 weeks in, but they tend to be a bit sort of clustered. Okay, so can I guess my number one? I did actually guess this one right, so but I couldn't remember which one it was. So here we have 104 was Talking Mini Royale Nations, game on Solana. How the metaverse turns ads. I think that's one with what they now call, they changed their name. It's a Sam Huber anyway. Was he AdMix back in the day? I can't remember. They changed their name. And this one is with is Mr. Labs actually. So this is the one that was the biggest in the year on Spotify and Anchor at least. I said there's a bigger ones on YouTube. So that one did super well actually. I think that was because I was interviewing Ko Kim, who is the sort of head of games at Mystic Labs. I've known Ko for a while. She used to work at Google Play, and then she went off and do some non-gaming stuff. But she's sort of really super smart, sort of well connected. Does some investing and advising as well. So anyway, I think Mr. Labs was sort of a new startup, sort of a whole bunch of people who were at Facebook doing the blockchain stuff there, and they're doing this new blockchain called Sui. SUI, I suppose it's Sui. So this is interesting. Top countries, 40 countries. I don't know what the Netherlands is doing in there. That's sort of interesting. I wonder if a lot of people in the Netherlands use Spotify. I guess that's the other sort of thing we have to think about. It's not just who's interested in blockchain games. There are quite a few blockchain games companies in the Netherlands actually, but I'm sort of quite surprised. So something magical happened this week. This is, I think, the week that that Mr. Labs episode came out. So that's why that's in that particular case. Sharing stuff. So this was sort of interesting. It's interesting some of the stats that my podcast has, which is obviously not a massively large podcast really, but it's interesting, I guess, how it ranks to some of the other people using Spotify, which I guess is not used so much as a platform. Most of the audio stuff still goes through Apple podcasts. But anyway, people are sharing this. People are 25% on WhatsApp. I mean, I don't even use WhatsApp, but obviously people are sharing it through there, so that's good. So I know the answer to these questions. So 28% of my listeners follow my podcast. So that's sort of interesting in the sense that that's subscribers. So I guess with the podcast, you have people who listen sort of every time because they're subscribing, and then you have people who sort of come in because it's been sent virally and they listen to one and don't bother subscribing. So I thought that maybe be a little bit higher, but it says here you're in the top 15 most followed podcasts, which really does surprise me because I am not a massive podcast, but there we go. That's nice. Nice to know. So who are what my listeners like? So this is a bit of a Spotify defining listeners, which actually comes out okay. So calculating their personalities, that's sort of funny. I actually do like this because I think this is something that I personally like to be enthusiastic. So enthusiastic about stuff, that's good. My listeners are super fans, it says. So I don't quite know what this means. When their favourite podcast releases a new episode, they're among the first to know. Well, they're subscribers, aren't they, I suppose? But anyway, thank you to all my enthusiastic podcast listeners. That's good to have you on board. So where are we doing now? Okay, so yeah, that's sort of unsurprising. 94% of listeners discovered me in 2022. That's partly because I'm not quite sure when Anchor, if you uploaded to Anchor, it started putting it through Spotify. I think that happened late in 2021. So even though the podcast has now been going for 4 years, 2023 will be the 5th year. But in terms of the Spotify stuff, I think that's the reason for that. Okay, that's the 50% of people started with that one episode. So that's interesting that Mr. and Labs one has brought people in. That wasn't one I particularly thought would be it wasn't an obvious one. I thought, oh, tons of people are going to sort of listen to this one. 16 episodes this year, so that's actually less than I thought. Actually, I wonder when the video stuff started. I'm sure I've done more than 16 episodes in 2022 in terms of podcasts. Anyway, there we go. They were in the top 15 most viewed. Okay, we've had that one already. I think 15% of me. Have I been working out? Yeah, right. So a good benchmark. Try and do more next year. So 48% growth. I guess that's comparing to last year. Again, I say the podcast generally. I think I hope to sort of get like 400 or 500 on average. And some of them can go, 500, 1,000, more than that. Depends a little bit on sort of who's being spoken to and how much sort of actually social stuff they do with it. I'm the top 10 podcast for 100 fans. That's pretty good. Top 5 for 56, and number one for 14. And my mum's not subscribing, and I'm not subscribing either. So that's 14 real people. So thank you to those people who listen to me the most. Goodness. So there we go. Is any more? I think that's about it now, isn't it? There's just this. Oh yeah, this thing they want me to share out. So this is just show some of the data. So there we go. 16 episodes, 574 minutes, 40 countries, and 48% upvotes. So there we go. Not a bad year. I think we can do better. Probably 20 episodes probably is I would think. I'm pretty sure I did 20 this year, but maybe I didn't. 20 episodes probably where I need to be. 25, I think. Obviously, if you're more regular, people more likely to follow you. I don't think I'm ever going to be the case of every Tuesday at 10 o'clock it comes out, but I probably need to be doing a few more. Anyway, so there we go. That was Blockchain Gaming World, available on Spotify, Anchor, podcast providers of choice, and YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed, please do.